Hey there, welcome back to Kry Finance. Today is October 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Kry, and if you don't like that, you can cry about it. But remember, emotions don't belong in these markets. So let's leave that noise behind and dive into today's key insights. First up, Hurricane Milton is making headlines even in the financial news as it approaches Florida. Now, this comes on the heels of Hurricane Helene, which just passed through Florida and caused chaos all the way up to the Carolinas. Now, there is panic, but let's not get caught up in it. We still have to wait and see how this storm passes to assess its real impact on businesses. With these storms now, shares of companies like Home Depot and Lowe's tend to outperform, or as Lowe's might say, they never stop improving. Demand for home repair and emergency supplies often spikes in response, and these companies are typically well prepared to support affected communities. In the second half of the day, attention shifted from Florida to the Fed as the minutes from the September meeting were released. Personally, I don't see why this release had so much weight. We already knew that there was one dissenter on the 50 basis point cut, and everybody else was on board. But as I discussed yesterday, the market had been waiting for signs of direction on Fed policy. Instead of getting anything new, it couldn't wait and reacted to the old Fed commentary, adding a few more points to an already steady gain on the day. Moving on to charts of the day, we're going to start out how we did yesterday with Palantir. They had a strong session, breaking through the $42 resistance I mentioned yesterday. After retesting and bouncing, it closed at 43.13, up about 4% on the day. As the rally evolves, PLTR is approaching the key $45 level, which is not only an all-time high, but also a psychological benchmark for traders. That being said, breaking above $45 could signal further gains. Additionally, PLTR saw around 85 million shares traded today, well above its 3-month average of 60 million and 30-day average of 70 million, identifying a clear trend of growing interest. With all this factored in and PLTR closing just under the day's high, it seems primed to continue its momentum. Next up, Samsara Incorporated, IoT, recently hit an all-time high of $50.07 at the end of September. Since then, it pulled back to the $45 range and has moved sideways, closing today at $47.93. For those unfamiliar, IoT stands for Internet of Things. Similar to the gains seen with AI stocks like C3AI with the ticker symbol AI during the AI rally, I expect an eventual IoT rally could place Samsara in a favorable position. While the timing of such a rally is uncertain, Samsara has already risen over 400% from its late 2022 lows, reflecting a strong uptrend over the past 2 years. In the short term, we'll see how it handles the $50 level, but long-term potential could see it reaching $90 with a market cap around $50 billion if growth continues at its current pace. Finally, Iridium Communications, IRDM, recently attempted to break above the $32 resistance last Friday, but has since settled in the $29 to $30 range. Given its recent price action, this could be a good entry for a long position, though waiting for a clear break above $32 might capture a stronger move toward $35 and potentially $40, where it traded sideways from 2021 to mid-2022. And keep in mind, IRDM was trading at $60 just last year, so it could be at a nice discount for those looking to buy in. Before we wrap up, let's talk about tomorrow's key releases. At 8:30 a.m., we'll get both the CPI and the initial jobless claims, offering insight into inflation and employment. Later at 1 p.m., we're going to see the 30-year bond auction, which will round out the day. Between inflation data, jobless claims, and the bond demand, there's plenty of room for market swings in either direction. Now, CPI is likely to be the main focus here as inflation hasn't quite disappeared. It's just taken a backseat as the Fed sees progress toward its 2% goal. If CPI comes in hotter than expected, it could send the SPX down sharply, signaling that the Fed might pause its plans for rate cuts in the near term. So keep an eye on those reports tomorrow. Well, that's it for tonight's episode of Kry Finance. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, as we head into tomorrow's data, here is a quote from Ben Graham. The individual investor should act consistently as an investor and not as a speculator. a timely reminder in all of this noise to stay focused. So stay focused, stay sharp, everybody. I'm Kry. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.